Have you ever had one of those moments where like just a tiny little piece of information clicks and then boom, suddenly like a whole new world of understanding opens up?
Yeah, totally.
That's what we are hoping for today.
Exactly.
Specifically when it comes to something super important, your child's journey into the world of English.
Yeah, we've been diving deep into this really cool guide.
Oh, cool.
It's called How to Talk with Your Kid in English, a complete guide. And it's like seriously comprehensive.
Nice.
It covers everything, like why it even matters in the first place.
Right.
All the way to like practical techniques and even long-term strategies.
Okay, so it's like a roadmap.
Totally a roadmap.
So for our deep dive today, listener, our mission is to pull out the most impactful insights from this guide.
Yeah, the stuff that's going to make the biggest difference.
Exactly. And the most actionable steps so that you can feel like super confident
Yeah,
and ready to support your child's English language journey,
exactly, no matter where they're at right now.
wherever they are on that path.
Exactly.
And by the way, listener, whether your own English skills are like native level or you're learning right alongside your kid, these principles that we're going to be talking about today,
Yeah,
they're designed to be accessible and insightful for everyone.
for sure.
Okay, let's unpack this.
Let's do it.
So, why should you even be thinking about actively speaking English with your kid?
All right.
The guide lays out some really interesting reasons, starting with how it can actually boost their brain power.
It's wild how much learning a language can actually impact brain development.
Oh, wow.
Like, the guide talks about research that shows that kids learning more than one language,
Okay.
they actually show better cognitive flexibility later on. They even did a study where bilingual kids had like a measurable advantage
Wow.
in how fast they could switch between tasks
That's amazing.
compared to kids who only spoke one language.
So it's like giving their minds a workout
Yeah, it's like mental gymnastics.
for day one.
Exactly.
And it's not just about like abstract brain power, right?
No.
The guide also highlights a very real boost in academic performance.
For sure, because early exposure to English builds this strong foundation for literacy skills.
Go.
You know, like vocabulary, understanding sentences,
Yeah.
grammar.
The building blocks.
Literally the building blocks for reading and writing, which are obviously super important for doing well in school.
Right, where English is so often the main language.
Exactly.
Okay, so here's a detail that really jumped out at me.
Okay.
The guide says that learning English could actually lead to better multitasking abilities
Oh, yeah.
in kids,
That makes sense when you think about that cognitive flexibility we were talking about.
right?
Their brains get so good at switching between different languages that skill can actually carry over to other areas where they need to
Wow.
focus on like multiple things at once.
Like juggling all the things.
Exactly, like a mental juggling act.
So beyond academics, the guide also talks about social and emotional development
Oh, yeah.
that can be boosted by learning English.
This is so important for parents to think about, you know?
Yeah.
Like, how does your child's ability to communicate in English affect how they interact with the world around them?
Right.
The guide says that being able to express yourself clearly in English actually boosts a child's confidence
Oh, interesting.
in social situations.
Yeah.
When they can actually say what they're thinking and feeling, it leads to like way fewer misunderstandings and stronger connections
I like that.
with friends and adults.
Yeah, that makes sense.
And I really like how the guide also mentions how it can help kids develop cultural awareness and empathy.
That's a good point.
It's like opening this window to all these different cultures and ways of life
Right.
just by learning the language.
Just by learning the language.
Exactly.
And then there's the practical stuff down the road.
Right.
Future opportunities.
The guide paints a pretty awesome picture for your child's future.
For sure.
Like, in this world that's so connected, speaking English fluently is a huge advantage. It opens up so many doors. The guide specifically talks about access to way more scholarships,
Wow.
opportunities to study in different countries, and a wider range of careers.
So it's like setting them up for success on a global scale.
Yeah, exactly. Building that strong English base early on is like giving them a passport to the world.
And just think about how much information is out there in English.
Oh my gosh, it's endless.
It's incredible.
Books, research, online courses.
Yeah.
Giving your child access to all of that is priceless.
It's like a superpower.
For real.
Okay, so the why is pretty clear.
Yeah,
Now, for you, the listener, how do you actually start this journey with your child?
right.
The guide says that the first step is to figure out their current English level.
Yeah, that initial assessment is crucial
Okay.
because it helps you tailor your approach and make it as effective as possible.
So how do we do that?
Well, the guide suggests a few things.
Oh, okay.
Starting with just observing them in everyday situations.
Like what kinds of things?
Like, pay attention to how they react when they hear English.
Okay.
Do they seem to understand basic instructions?
Mm-hmm.
Do they try to answer in English, even if it's just a word or two?
Got it.
You can also do some fun interactive activities to get a better sense of their understanding
Okay.
and vocabulary.
Like what?
Like simple games that naturally encourage them to use English.
Uh-huh.
And if they're in school, talk to their teacher.
Yeah.
They can give you some really valuable insights.
They see them every day.
Exact.
And the guide even mentions online assessments for different age groups.
Right. Those can give you a snapshot of where they're at.
Okay, so once you know where they're starting,
Yeah.
the guide stresses that it's important to use age-specific strategy.
Of course, because what works for a toddler is going to be totally different from what works for an older kid.
Right, it's not one size fits all.
Definitely not.
So for toddlers, what should the focus be?
For the little ones.
Yeah.
Simple everyday words are key. Things they see and interact with all the time.
Like what?
Like their toys, food body parts.
Right, the basics.
Exactly, and make it fun. Songs, rhymes,
Oh,
picture books,
kids love those.
and those interactive naming games
Oh yeah, those are cute.
where you point to something and say its name in English.
Right.
Those are super effective at that age
Yeah.
because their brains are like little sponges.
Absorbing everything.
Totally.
What about preschoolers?
Preschoolers,
Yeah.
they're so curious.
Always asking why.
Right, for kids between 3 and 5, you can start to introduce slightly longer phrases,
Okay.
like simple sentences,
Uh-huh.
and really encourage them to repeat after you.
Got it.
This is also the perfect time for story time.
Ooh, story time.
Yeah, reading aloud together,
Mm-hmm.
pointing at the pictures and words,
Yeah.
and asking simple questions about the story.
That's so nice.
Super beneficial.
And then they move into early school years.
Yeah, like 6 to 8 years old.
How do we adjust our approach then?
At this point, they're starting to understand more complex sentences.
Okay.
So you can have simple conversations with them
Like about what?
about their day at school, their favorite things,
Yeah.
what they see in the world.
Makes sense.
Games with questions and answers are great at this age, too.
Right.
And encourage them to ask their own questions in English.
To really get them thinking.
Exactly.
Okay, and what about older kids, like 9 and up?
Oh, they're practically teenagers at that point. You can
Right.
have much deeper discussions with them.
Oh, cool.
Encourage them to share their opinions, tell stories in English.
Right.
This is also a good time to introduce more advanced vocabulary and grammar.
Oh, it's a good point.
Keep challenging them in a way that's appropriate for their level.
So we've talked about why speaking English with your kid is important
Yeah,
and how to figure out where they're at.
right.
Now let's talk about how to create an environment that supports their learning. The guide calls it creating an immersive experience.
Immersion.
Yeah.
Now, that doesn't mean you have to speak English all the time,
Right.
especially if you're not a native speaker yourself.
Yeah.
It's more about establishing routines.
Oh, okay.
Like having set times during the day, even if it's just for 15 or 20 minutes,
Okay.
where you focus on speaking English.
Like dedicated English time.
Yeah, exactly. That builds consistency.
Got it.
And you can also integrate English into your everyday activities.
Oh, that's a good idea.
Like name the foods you're eating during meals,
I
or
love that.
describe the steps of getting ready for bed in English.
I like that.
It helps to make English feel like a normal part of life.
That's so smart.
And the guide also really emphasizes learning through play.
Oh, yes.
Kids learn best when they're having fun.
Right.
So think about board games that use English instruction.
Oh, yeah.
Flashcards with pictures and words.
Fun flashcards.
Yeah, make it engaging,
Mm-hmm.
role-playing different scenarios.
Like what?
Like going to a restaurant or playing doctor.
That's cute.
And interactive storytelling where you both take turns adding to the story in English.
So creative.
It makes learning feel like an adventure.
And in this day and age, we can't forget about media.
True.
The guide has some good advice about using media effectively.
Yeah, it's all about being selective.
Okay.
Choose age-appropriate books with clear language.
Mm-hmm.
Audiobooks so they can hear proper pronunciation.
Right.
Educational videos like Sesame Street or Peppa Pig.
Oh, those are classics.
Right. And even language learning apps.
There are so many of those now.
There are tons, but look for ones that are reputable.
Okay.
Like Duolingo for Kids or ABC Mouse.
Those are good ones.
Yeah, the key is to pick things that your child will enjoy.
Yeah. And that are the right level for them.
Exactly.
And the guide talks about creating a special learning space in your home,
Oh, yeah.
which I think is a fantastic idea.
It doesn't have to be anything fancy.
Okay.
Just a designated area for English learning. You could set up a reading corner with English books,
Hmm.
a learning wall with new vocabulary words,
Okay.
an interactive board for drawing and writing,
Uh-huh.
and even a little tech zone for those educational apps.
Nice.
It just sends the message that learning English is important and fun.
I love it. Okay, so we've created the environment.
We're ready to go.
Now, how do we actually start and maintain conversations in English?
Right.
The guide gives some really helpful conversation starters.
It all starts with the basics.
Okay.
Simple greetings like, good morning, or how are you today?
Yeah.
Use those consistently throughout the day.
Right.
Repetition is key
Yeah.
for those phrases to really stick.
Got it.
And then try to ask open-ended questions.
So more than just yes or no questions.
Exactly.
Right.
Because open-ended questions encourage them to give more detailed answers.
Right.
Like instead of asking, did you have a good day?
Mm-hmm.
Ask, what was the best part of your day?
Oh.
Or what are you looking forward to tomorrow? Those kinds of questions make them think more and use more language.
Yeah, they have to form sentences.
Right.
And the guide also emphasizes storytelling,
Oh, yeah.
which I think is such a powerful tool
It really is.
for language learning.
Tell them simple stories.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe even just about your day.
Yeah.
Use visuals like picture books if you have them.
Right?
Make it interactive by asking them questions about the story.
Uh-huh.
And try to relate the stories to their own experiences.
That's a good point.
It makes it more meaningful and memorable for them.
Speaking of making it fun, let's bring back play.
Play is always a good idea.
The guide has some really creative ways to weave English into playtime.
Yeah, like role-playing those everyday situations we talked about earlier,
Mm-hmm.
like going shopping or ordering food. You can play I Spy, but use English adjectives to describe the object,
That's a fun twist.
right?
And what about story building games?
Oh, yeah, those are awesome.
Where you each take turns adding a sentence
Exactly.
to create a story.
And you can even play action games,
What?
but give
Yeah.
instructions in English.
Like Simon says, but in English.
Exactly. It turns learning into a game.
And it seems like repetition and reinforcement are key.
And they really are.
The guide really stresses making English a regular part of their routine.
Consistency is so important.
Okay.
Even just a little bit of practice each day makes a huge difference.
Like what kinds of things?
You can do short drills with vocabulary words,
Okay.
use flashcards regularly,
Mm-hmm.
sing English songs and rhymes together,
Yeah,
and even label objects around the house in English.
well, that's a good.
It all adds up.
Yeah, it makes English a part of their everyday world.
Exactly.
And of course, you want to help them with their pronunciation, but you don't want to make them feel self-conscious.
Right.
The guide gives some advice on modeling correct pronunciation.
The best way to teach pronunciation is to model it yourself.
Yeah.
Speak clearly and articulate your words.
Uh-huh.
And if they mispronounce something, gently repeat the word correctly without making a big deal about it.
Right.
You can even make it fun by listening to recordings of native speakers together
Oh, that's a good idea.
and then try to imitate the sounds.
Yeah, that's fun.
Yeah.
And the guide also talks about using visual aids and gestures,
Visuals are so helpful.
especially for younger kids.
Yeah, because they create that connection between the word and the actual thing.
Right.
So use picture books,
Mm-hmm.
write new words on a whiteboard, and draw little pictures next to them.
Okay.
And use gestures and body language when you're speaking English.
Right.
It all helps to reinforce the meaning.
Makes sense.
And don't underestimate the power of interactive activities.
Oh, yeah.
Keeping things interactive keeps kids engaged.
Right.
So role play together.
Right.
If they have siblings or friends who are also learning English playgroup games together,
That sounds fun.
yeah. And there are also tons of educational apps that are really interactive.
Mm-hmm.
And just having regular conversations with them.
One-on-one.
Yeah, where they feel comfortable asking questions and expressing themselves.
That's important.
It all makes a big difference.
Now, let's be real for a second.
Okay.
There are going to be times when your child is hesitant or reluctant to speak English.
That's totally normal.
The guide talks about these common hurdles and how to overcome them.
Yeah, it's all about being patient and encouraging.
Right.
Focus on positive reinforcement.
Okay.
Praise their efforts, even if they're small.
Mm-hmm.
Create a low-pressure environment where they don't feel scared to make mistakes.
That's so important.
Sometimes it's easier for them to speak English one-on-one
Okay.
than in front of a group.
And just remember that language learning takes time.
Yeah, be patient.
And what about when misunderstandings happen?
Misunderstandings are bound to happen.
Right.
It's part of the process.
So how do we deal with those?
Well, the guide suggests asking clarifying questions
Oh.
to make sure you understand what they're trying to say.
Mm-hmm.
You can also rephrase your own sentences.
To make them simpler.
Exactly, and encourage your child to ask questions if they're unsure about something.
Yeah,
Communication is key.
that's a good point.
And then there's the whole issue of correcting mistakes
Right.
while still keeping them motivated.
Yeah. How do we find that balance?
The most important thing is to praise their effort
Yeah.
and celebrate their progress.
No matter how small.
Exactly. Every step forward is a victory.
Okay.
When you do need to correct them, do it gently.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe just rephrase what they said correctly.
Got it.
Encourage them to listen carefully and try to self-correct next time.
And set realistic expectations.
Yeah, language learning is a marathon, not a sprint.
Okay, so how do we make this a sustainable long-term thing?
Right.
The guide gives some advice on fostering sustained growth in their English skills,
The key is to make English a natural part of your daily lives.
like a habit.
Exactly.
How do we do that?
Keep having conversations in English.
Yeah.
Include English language media in their routine.
Ah.
And if you're in a bilingual household, encourage them to use and appreciate both languages.
That's a good point.
It's great for their brain development.
And as they get more comfortable,
Yeah,
we should encourage them to take more initiative in their learning.
totally.
So what does that look like?
Encourage them to start conversations in English.
Okay.
Let them try reading and writing on their own.
Even if it's just simple stuff.
Yeah, even a few sentences or a short note,
Uh-huh.
and look for opportunities for them to participate in English-speaking activities.
Like what?
Clubs, online forums, even pen pals.
That's cool.
Anything that interests them
Right.
and gets them using English.
And what about preparing them for using English in more formal settings?
Like school or standardized tests.
Exactly.
As they get older, focus on building their reading comprehension skills.
Okay.
With more challenging texts.
Mm-hmm.
Have them practice writing essays and expressing their ideas in a structured way,
Uh-huh.
and work on their listening skills too.
Oh.
Podcasts, audiobooks, things like that. And if they're going to be taking standardized tests,
Right.
familiarize them with the format and the types of questions
Makes
so
sense.
they feel prepared.
The guide also points to some helpful tools and communities.
Oh yeah, there are so many resources out there.
Like what?
There are language learning apps
Mm-hmm.
like Duolingo or PBS Kids,
Okay.
websites like Starfall,
Uh-huh.
YouTube channels with educational content
Like what?
like English Sing Sing.
Oh, I've heard of that one.
And of course, don't forget about books and videos.
Right, those are classics.
You can also connect with other parents in language exchange groups or online forums.
Oh, yeah.
That can be super helpful for getting support and sharing ideas.
And local libraries and cultural centers often have resources too.
Definitely check those out.
The guide also includes some really inspiring real-world examples.
Oh yeah, those case studies.
I loved Emma's story about overcoming her shyness
Oh yeah, she was so shy at first.
through interactive story time.
It's amazing how much progress she made.
And then there was Michael, who learned so much vocabulary.
He was a little word machine.
I know, by labeling things around the house.
Yeah, and having those dedicated English moments.
And Samantha, who really developed her conversational skills.
She loved to pretend play.
It shows how effective that can be.
Play-based learning is the best.
And finally, the guide offers a really important message of encouragement for parents.
Yeah, this journey can be challenging.
Right.
So it's important to take care of yourself and be patient.
That's good advice.
Celebrate those small milestones.
Yep.
And acknowledge your child's progress.
No matter how small.
Exactly, and stay engaged with them in their learning.
Mm-hmm.
And don't be afraid to ask for help if you need it.
It's so important.
There are lots of people who have been in your shoes.
Okay, so to sum it all up,
Yeah.
speaking English with your child is so much more than just teaching them words and grammar rules.
It's about connecting with them,
Yeah.
building their confidence, and opening up a world of opportunities.
It's a gift.
A lifelong gift.
This guide is packed with practical strategies
And insights
that can make this a truly rewarding experience.
for both you and your child.
So listener, we encourage you to take some of these ideas
Yeah.
from our deep dive into this guide
Mhm.
and start using them at home.
You got this.
Every conversation, every story you share in English,
Yeah.
it's a step forward on this exciting journey.
For your child.
And as you embark on this path of language exploration with your child, think about this.
Okay.
How might incorporating a second language like English into your family life not only boost your child's language skills, but also deepen your shared experiences.
Yeah.
And broaden your perspectives as a family
It's pretty powerful stuff.
in an increasingly interconnected world.
Exactly.
Food for thought.
Yeah.